Well, it's Black Friday once again, and I feel that this is a good time for me to start a video about Lotro's store and monetization because the way I see it, Lotro's store and the way they sell things to you is incredibly inconsistent. There are a lot of noob traps in the store. So what I'm going to do with this video is just run down every single thing in the store that a free-to-play fresh account will see, and just explain if it's worth your money or not. Now, a quick disclaimer, not everything I'm going to say will apply to you as an individual. If you like something and if you want to buy something, that's your money. You can do what you want with it. But for a new player, or for any player who may not be fully aware of what they're actually buying, this might be able to, give them a little bit of a heads up if there's something that's just not really worth the money. Alright, let's begin. Black Friday is currently a thing, but probably by the time I upload this video, it won't. So, we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's just begin. Black steel keys for your loot boxes. This is a funny one, because obviously loot boxes are dropping like hotcakes. A lot of people choose to actually filter loot boxes and never think about it again. And I don't blame them, because what's actually in the loot boxes isn't all that much. If you're under level cap, you get traveler's gear, which you're going to quickly replace as you level up. You get motes of enchantment, which are, you can convert those into figments. It's barter currency for the curator and figment people. But if you're at end game, it gives you embers. Now, if you're also at end game, you're going to be earning those embers through regular play anyway, doing instances. You also have your dailies and your weeklies and stuff like that. So the important thing to remember with this, though, is with the curator, they only come once in a fucking blue moon. They only come during a holiday, if that. And it's designed that way to encourage a limited time panic. So if you don't have enough figments to get the cosmetic that you really want, you might be tempted to buy steel keys. If this was an item that dropped in-game, rarely, like the old keys used to, you would be able to have an economy around it. But as it stands, the only way to get them is through the store. But don't ever feel that you need to buy them, that they have something that you can't easily obtain. The only exception to this, Creepside in PvP. They have access to cosmetics, skins and auras and stuff like that, which can't be obtained through regular play. I'm not going to talk about the reward track they had out, because that's currently not accessible. Another thing about Black Friday is the Superior River Hobbit bundle. Its regular price at nearly 9,000 points is not worth it. There are 3 tiers of this bundle, and you really want to look at what you're getting, because at the moment, moderately priced. It's not cheap, not expensive though. You get a character slot and the ability to play River Hobbits. River Hobbits are 1,000 points, okay? So for Black Friday, not a bad deal. Double the price. You also get 100 Mithril coins, 20,000 virtual experience, some cosmetics, a weapon aura. Now, let's talk about if this is actually valuable. I'm going to pretend the discounted price isn't there, because that is only literally for a couple of days a year, alright? And they chose it to be the River Hobbit bundle. For the regular price of almost 9,000 points, I don't believe it's worth it. 100 Mithril coins, that is not an awful lot, because yeah, it can be very useful if you want to teleport around the map. That's quite nice, but it will nickel and dime you over time. But if you look into your trait tree panel, and you look at how much it costs to buy another slot for one character, that is exactly 100 Mithril coins. My point here is that it's inconsistent. Virtue experience, haha, 20,000 is not a lot. That is like 5, like maybe 4 or 5 levels of a single virtue near the end game, okay? You need roughly about 800,000, if I'm correct. Hang on, there is a way for me to search this up. I will search this up real quickly, and we'll talk about it. Fancy, handy-dandy wiki. that tells you how much virtue you are required to get. 162,000 for a single trait to get to cap. And you need 5 slots. That's for one character, and that's regardless of any other swappies you want to get, okay? So for one character to get about 5 virtues to cap, that's over 800,000 points. Think about it. 20,000 is not a lot. 20,000 really is not a lot of virtue experience. But for the actual cosmetics and for the ability to play River Hobbit if you haven't got it already, worth it. If you've already got the River Hobbit, you know, you're paying 2,000 points or whatever for the cosmetics. Don't buy it for the virtue experience, okay? Simple as that. Now, I'm going to go through the list of literally every single category of items and see if it's worth your money. We've got actual content here, quest packs and expansions and stuff. For the most part, it's worth it. It's worth your money. Especially considering you can earn points and some of these are fairly cheap. But it is worth checking the level range of the content because you can easily skip quite a lot of them. At the moment, the monetization is pretty decent for a new player. You can get up to level 95 or level 100 or so without having to pay a single penny. And then by that time, you're most likely going to have enough points to buy maybe 1 or 2 quest packs through Gondor. But a lot of the quest packs through Gondor is like straight up just level 100. You can, if you're smart about it, skip a few just to get your level up a bit. But if you want to play through them, you know, be my guest. This is pretty decent. I don't have a problem with the monetization of the content itself. Class and races. Classes, you know, definitely worth it. If these are ever on offer, get them if you want to diversify them. Maybe not Brawler, just because I'm biased. But races themselves is purely cosmetic. A lot of people are tricked into thinking that, oh, this race has this certain race trait and it must be very important. No, it's purely cosmetic. They don't worry about min-maxing like that. It's not really worth it. But we'll talk about all that expansion stuff later. Skirmishes, don't buy this. This is not worth your money because it's such an outdated system. Max ranks and stuff is not worth it. You're not going to need a skirmish soldier in skirmishes. You can ignore that. Let's look at this. Race trains and character renames are just, you know, that's a service they provide. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about Valar Packs, because Valar Packs are interesting. If you haven't played through the game before, I don't recommend buying a Valar Pack. If you've gotten a character to the level cap and you want an ult, get, you know, the 140 pack is decent. But notice how the prices are kind of weird. So the Gift of the Valar is level 50. You can do that quite easily, you know, considering you've got 100 extra levels. Okay. Don't worry about that, nor the 95. But when these 3 on the bottom, it really depends. If you want to quest a bit more and you haven't experienced it before, you know, you can go get a 120. But it's worth talking about the virtue experience that you actually get within it, because the 141 is if they want to make an ult, they'll buy the 140 Valor, and then they can use the virtue experience on that. But there are people who buy Valar Packs specifically to get virtue experience for their mains. Because there isn't really a good way of buying virtue experience in the store, people will end up buying this, and that is incredibly, in my opinion, that's incredibly vicious, and I think it's intentional. But for actually what you get, for the actual thing itself, the level boost and the actual things you get with it, it is worth the money. If these ever go on sale, people will be buying them, trust me. I'm actually kind of surprised that this wasn't a part of the Black Friday deal. These are not worth it. Again, these are perks that are just outdated. Like, look at this, 10% discount on all vendors. Why? 20% discount when respecking. Again, you're going to have lots of money anyway, so no point. 20% off Stable Masters, and Stable Masters cost maybe like 1 to like 100 silver, who cares? Maps, apart from milestones, maps are useless, because you're going to have abilities to teleport around the map as you play through the game. What's this? 25 minutes. These reduce the cooldown of your milestone skills. I wouldn't recommend these, because if you rely on your milestone skill more than an hour, there are more efficient ways of teleporting around the map. Hunters are going to be laughing at you, of course, but you really should be getting the teleport debris skill, which is a reputation item. You know, if these are on offer, which they are currently, they might be worth getting it. for your main, maybe 1 or 2, because you can set them to wherever you want. That's pretty nice, but do beware, this is per character, not account. So if you have alts, again, this is where it gets not so friendly. Warsteed upgrades, do not buy them, it's never necessary. Mounted combat is an outdated system, and the best trait is actually just the middle one, which everyone already gets. Really not worth it. Buffs and services. Now this is up to the individual. Deed boosts are a funny one because there is like a valid reason to use them, but you'll find that you'll probably get these dropping from Hobbit presents quite often if you don't go out of your way to deed. If you're going out of your way to deed in order to acquire Lotro points, you're a fool if you buy these, because you're not going to make your money's worth back. And they're quite costly as well. 3,000 points for 25 Slayer boosts is insanely pricey. It's quite nuts, actually. These are silly, don't buy them. It's low level gear, which you're going to easily and very quickly out level. And I don't want to, I genuinely want to know, like, the stats to these. Because after the stat squish, I'm sure it's even worse. This item could be, it doesn't even tell you, it's just an item. This is specifically there to trick new players. There's no other reason for it. Combat buffs. Hope. Most players will be able to craft or acquire hope in some sort of way. If you're in a group, there's always going to be someone with hope buffs. These aren't for groups, these are solo hope stuff. Probably not worth it. If you need them in a pinch, fine. But understand that all of these buffs really don't apply for landscape questing. These buffs become useful in group content, particularly harder group content, at endgame. There is very little reason for you to go out of your way to buy buffs if you are just questing or if you're like a low level, alright? Mark acquisition buffs, again, useless, scam. Combat run speed buffs are very niche, and they're really not worth it. I know they're cheap, but it lasts for like 5 seconds, and it's not going to save you, really. Morale and power scrolls can be useful at endgame, but VIPs will often be able to buy these through Destiny points, so consider VIP purchase for the perks, because these are the only one that actually has value is probably the Tome of Defense, because it's relatively cheap considering it's 6 hours of literally 10% extra incoming damage buff. That's quite nice if you're a tank. But don't buy them if you're just landscape questing. Tome of Tracking, same problem. There are very few situations where you're going to need to be tracking mobs. You'll be able to find them even if they are stealthed. Notice that this does not work in PvP. Food and drink, don't buy them. Just get regular food buffs from in-game. I think these are crams. Pretty sure they're like 200% extra regeneration for 5 minutes, which sounds cool, but it really isn't. It's again a small stat. Regular in-game food is good enough. We talked about loot boxes, movement buffs. The only difference between these and coffee is that coffee expires when you die. This doesn't. So if you, and I think coffee you have to be like level 80 or above to actually use them. But yeah, you can make a justification to using this in landscape. It's a small thing though. I mean, again, it's very cheap, but if you're especially new and you haven't got certain account-wide perks unlocked yet, this stuff will nickel and dime you, and then you'll probably not have the points for more important stuff. And potions are a bit like combat buffs. They seem cooler than they actually are, but it's worth noting that these do stack with in-game health potions. So if you're at in-game or in PvP and you really want an advantage, it can be useful, but don't buy these like when you're just doing landscape. That's like, don't. It's not worth the money there. Auction services, like temporary services, these are VIP perks that you can buy individually in the store for a small amount of time, but it is really not worth it because you're going to be able to access a hub pretty easily in game. Don't buy that. If you're out in the field, you can access mailbox anywhere, you can access the auction house, your vault anywhere, cool. But if you're buying them like 6 hours, I just use it now, like, don't do that. That's silly. That's a waste of money. These though can be useful. I'm pretty sure. Like it's just a little thing that you can have in your house. But these temporary ones, not worth it. Now, emotes, again, are purely cosmetic, and it's up to you if you like them or not. Like, some of them are more expensive than others. For some reason, Wipe Sweat emote is more expensive than all of these, but well, that's just inconsistency. A lot of these can be obtained in-game through deeds, but, you know, I don't see a reason why you can't buy these if you want them. Again, they're bound to character, not account-wide. Same goes for all of these kites and mounts and stuff. Some of these mounts are bundles. Again, please look at them, actually see what you're getting. Go find a picture of the horse in game, because this doesn't really give you enough information to see what you're actually getting. And some of these are account-wide, it says so, they'll be more expensive. Account-wide just means every single character you have or make will have this mount. And some of them come with Warsteed cosmetics too, which is cool. Pets, these are cute, but again, purely cosmetic. Riding traits and bundles. Now, journeyman riding is something that new players could consider looking into earning or paying money for, because every single mount you have on every character forever will be able to be max speed. That's nice. That's actually a really nice quality of life. It's not necessary, but it does make a bit of a nice difference. This is a noob directed little thing. For 1,500 points, you can get the riding skill, choice of steeds, just a really small, like all of those are just like the basic rep steeds, so not really worth it. 21k virtue experience, which is, you know, quite nice, but don't be buying this just to skip the virtue grind. Don't do that. Milestone skill, that's kind of nice. I believe all of this is account wide. It can only be purchased once per account, so that tells me that it might be account wide, which if so, that's kind of nice. Again, look at these, just see, oh, if I want to buy a horse, don't go to the store and think, oh, well, let's see what they offer. If you see something you like, do a bit of research and see if it's worth the, like, if it's actually giving you what you want, and then buy it. You know, because cosmetics are sort of one of those things that is up to the individual's taste. Like this one's funny. Bare chested is always cool. But I want to say, all of this shit, like all of these, all of that, this, like, the list goes down. All of these cosmetics are obtainable in the skirmish camp for marks. They are not worth your money. You can grind skirmishes a little bit for this. I mean, a couple of these, like old robes, I do believe are store only, but majority of those are fucking skirmish items. And to this day, they still sell them in the store, and they've never added anything new here. So what a waste. Same with Ladia's Market, right? All of that shit is just Dunland gear. What a waste of opportunity. This game has so many cosmetics that they could monetize, but they don't. Well, this one, Battle Armor of the White City, I believe that's like a bit of a newer one. That was from Gondor. Again, still pretty old now, come to think about it. Now, dyes, all of these dyes I believe can be crafted, but if you need one in a pinch and you can't find it in the auction house, yeah, might as well. If they're on, some of these are quite cheap, so why not? But don't think that dyes are like a premium item. These are all items that can easily be crafted, and a lot of people do, and a lot of people sell them for in-game gold. And hell, people give them away. Housing items, again, like cosmetics, purely up to you. Some of these bundles and a lot of these are store only. Crafting, oh boy, let's get fucking hyped, because crafting is a terribly monetized system. A lot of these are just not worth buying, or otherwise you are forced to buy it in order to progress crafting. Crafting experience, probably not worth it. Let's be honest here. If you're crafting, right? If you're just getting experience, do understand that the crafting grind is horrendous in Lotro. You have proficiency, right, which is just crafting it, and then you have mastery, which requires a bit more experience in each tier. Say like you get all of the proficiency up to the level caps crafting tier. You can't just get mastery for that, you have to go all the way back and fucking grind all the mastery out, which honestly turns a lot of people away. Rapid crafting boosts, if you're crafting in bulk, it can be useful, but it's again a tiny quality of life thing. Most people will craft and just go AFK for 5 minutes, you know. Universal crafting law, understand that scholars can actually make items that increase crit chance as well. The one thing that can be useful, I believe, is universal toolkits, because it's just an item you'll have forever. It's basically every crafting tool bundled in one, saves inventory, doesn't break easily. Pretty nice, right? It's bound to account as well, meaning you can trade it over to alts if you need to. Yeah, universal toolkits are great for the majority of things, apart from when you need to start critting and doing guild or whatever. But there are obviously better ones for, I believe it's prospecting and woodworking, because they've been given that sort of revamp with the crafting events. Now, crafting guilds is where it gets fucking nasty, in my opinion. Guilds are sort of like designed for like the end game of the time. So like you will have it at level 50, at 65, so on and so forth. And it's sort of like really good shit, but you have to grind a lot for it. And it's an old system that was barely even updated for this new content, and there was no crafting update in my opinion, because you still need to go through this grind in order to get to Umbar Guild. The original plan with crafting update was to fucking separate the grind. I mean, so if you like at endgame, or if you buy a Valar Pack, or whatever, you don't have to go back to craft and grind all this shit that you may not need. I personally don't engage in this system. The price itself isn't the issue, it's the fact you have to. It's the fact that everyone who wants to get to Umbar Guild or whatever has to go through this atrocious grind, and then they sell you the cure as well. They say, oh yeah, you want to get through this grind? Here's 20k guild reputation points times by 5. Fuck yeah, let's do that. Let's just buy that and never have to worry about it. But yeah, that's the problem, because you still need to grind further. It's ridiculous. Like, there's no reason for this to be in the game other than just like sheer greed. Essence journals, I'm surprised they still sell these. Don't buy them. It's for like one crafting thing, like round about level 100 or something. Universal solvents, however, do have use. Individually, they're fairly cheap, but when you're crafting lots of essences, it starts to rack up. But these are often sold in the auction house. They're very popular for crafters. Ingredients packs, I don't know, probably not. Universal ingredients packs just means that you don't have to go out your way to get the resources, but then once you craft it, it's bound to your character. Probably not worth it. We're wrapping this up now. We're going to talk about the expansions, and we're going to talk about the Black Friday deals, because Black Friday is like usually the time for the biggest slashes in order for Christmas. They don't put the current expansion on offer at all, which I don't see why they didn't, because it's only been out for a couple of months, and it would have been a good opportunity to just throw that offer out there. Now, what's been slashed the most is the ultimate editions of these older content. But to be fair, Courses of Umbar only gets a fucking like $8 discount, the actual content. So you're more encouraged to go out of your way to buy the whale packs, if you will, just for the cosmetics and whatever. But again, look at what you're getting. The funniest one though is this: Before the Shadow Standard Edition is still being sold in the store, but that content is free to play. The only thing you're buying with that is a single emote, and they have the audacity to still sell this, and then actually fucking put like a ridiculously low price off it and say, oh yeah, people can still buy it if they want. This is the reason I actually want to make this video. This is the moment I realized that whoever's in charge of monetization in Lotro probably doesn't understand what the fuck they're doing. It could be an oversight, sure, but this oversight has been in the game for long enough now. There's no excuse. To be fair though, the person who did do this has admitted that it should be not in store. I don't see why they fucking can't just bundle it all together, all the older content, especially something that's already free to fucking play, and just make it a cosmetic bundle. This is not too bad, you know, if you just get a bunch of cosmetics for $30, considering that their original price is $99. Holy shit, that's expensive. Fix this. On the bright side though, the older content is relatively cheap. Like, this is like quite cheap. Free Peaks is a tenner. Mordor's only $5. That's the only proper Black Friday deal in Lotro at the moment. That's fine. That's actually pretty good. Lotro is expensive. It's unnecessarily expensive. This is old content. This should not be so pricey, especially the whale packs. They are being sold at full fucking price as though it's day one of the expansion's release. They've never had a proper price slash, and this needs to be looked at. This needs to be seriously looked at. I remember buying Helm's Deep at full price. At the time, that was notoriously expensive, even for, relevant content. The most recent pack being expensive, or like more pricey because it's new content, I can understand that. But if you notice that these price slashes is decent here, but it progressively gets less generous as it's more new. And again, I want to reiterate that before the shadow is in the store and it's free to fucking play, there is no reason to press that button. If you're pressing that button, you're just giving $15 to the SSG for a fucking emote. It's about time they have a look at this stuff and actually seriously consider what they're selling. Consider fucking getting feedback, and not just from the forums. The forums will say, "Oh yeah, I like buying River Hobbit bundles, and I like buying fucking." Like, oh shit, man! I forgot to mention stat tomes. They're retarded. Don't buy them. Well, thank you for watching my video, and hopefully it's helpful to you. If you want to take one thing from this video, it's that this game has so many noob traps, and there are so many noobs. I think it's everyone's duty to inform people if they are curious about buying into this game. Inform them what's worth the money. Inform them the best strategy in order to make the most out of their money.